Imagine building a fortune so massive, so untouchable, it could change your family's future forever. Now imagine choosing not to. Simon Cowell, TV mogul, talent scout, and one of the richest figures in modern entertainment, is worth over $600 million. His empire stretches across the world, from multi-million dollar shows to luxury homes and a car collection that looks like a billionaire's wish list. But hidden behind the glitz is a decision that no one saw coming. One that could leave his loved ones not celebrating his success, but stunned by what comes after. Because despite everything he's built, Simon has made it clear, his own son may not inherit a single cent. Why would one of the richest men in television make a choice like that? Is it a cold business move or something far more personal? To understand the answer, you have to go back to where it all began. Before the money, before the fame, and before the shocking promise that could change everything. Before Simon Cowell became the sharp-tongued millionaire we all know, he was flat out broke. Not struggling artist broke, £500,000 in debt broke. In the early 1980s, Simon took his first shot at the music business. He co-founded E&S Music, then later helped launch Fanfare Records. And for a moment, it actually worked. He had a hit song in 1986 with a singer named Sunita, So Macho. It charted, it sold, but success was short-lived. By 1989, everything collapsed. Fanfare went under. His company was bankrupt. And just like that, Simon was drowning in debt, owing the bank nearly $500,000. The Porsche? Gone, repossessed. The confidence? Shaken. And the lifestyle? Completely wiped out. He moved back in with his parents' tail between his legs, forced to face a brutal truth. He'd lost everything. But this wasn't just a financial disaster. It was humiliation. A man who once drove fast cars and signed pop stars was now sleeping in his childhood bedroom. Most people would have quit right there, but Simon didn't, because underneath the slick suits and sharp comments is a fighter, someone who knew the game wasn't over. It was just beginning. And his comeback? It wouldn't just make him millions, it would make him Simon Cowell. After hitting rock bottom, Simon didn't disappear. He reloaded. He landed a job at BMG, not as a music executive, but as a talent scout. A behind-the-scenes role, quiet, unflashy. But Simon didn't need a spotlight, he needed a foothold, and he got it. There, he launched his own label under BMG called S Records. It wasn't glamorous at first, but Simon saw something no one else did. Two actors from a TV drama, Robson and Jerome. They weren't singers, they weren't even trying to be, but Simon convinced them to record a cover of Unchained Melody. It was a risk. But the moment the song dropped, everything changed. It didn't just hit #1, it smashed records. 7 straight weeks at the top of the UK charts. Millions of copies sold. The duo went on to sell 7 million albums and 5 million singles. And Simon? He said that deal made him his first million. From there, the dominoes started falling in his favor. He signed acts like billionaire and started climbing out of the shadow of failure, slowly, quietly, and with ruthless precision. He wasn't just back, he was building an empire. And soon that empire would move from music to a screen in nearly every living room in the world. By the early 2000s, Simon Cowell had already made his first million, but he wasn't done. He wasn't even close. That's when he stepped in front of the camera. In 2001, he joined Pop Idol in the UK. Then came American Idol in 2002. And just like that, a guy who once got his Porsche repossessed was now the face of reality TV. But it wasn't just his role, it was how he played it. Blunt, brutal, unapologetically honest. He crushed dreams on live TV with lines like, "That was the worst audition I've ever seen, and America couldn't get enough." Simon didn't sugarcoat anything, and that made him unforgettable. At first, it earned him $8 million per season. By 2005, his paycheck had ballooned to $36 million. Then came the biggest offer yet, $45 million to stay, and he turned it down. Because for Simon, being a judge was never the end game. It was just the launch pad. While the world watched him tear apart contestants, he was watching the business closely. He didn't just want to judge talent. He wanted to own the platform that created it. And that's exactly what he did next, turning himself from a personality into a powerful creator of culture. Simon Cowell wasn't satisfied being the face of someone else's show. He wanted to own the format, the rights, the brand, everything. So in 2004, he made his move. He launched the X Factor under his own company, Psycho Entertainment, spelled with a psycho edge. It wasn't just a show, it was a global phenomenon. Then came Got Talent, another creation. From America's Got Talent to Britain's Got Talent, the franchise exploded across more than 70 countries. These weren't just programs. They were machines, printing money, launching careers, creating global stars, and making Simon a fortune. By 2012, he reportedly pulled in $75 million from the X Factor alone. In 2013, Forbes listed his income at a staggering $95 million. But the real power move came years later. In 2020, Simon bought back Sony's share of Psycho TV. It was a bold, strategic decision. Sony kept the music side, but Simon took full control of the TV properties. Why best? Because he saw where the future was heading. Music labels were struggling. Streaming was changing everything. But intellectual property, the rights to formats like Got Talent, was gold. By reclaiming those shows, Simon wasn't just making content. He was building a legacy that would keep paying long after the cameras stopped rolling. But for all his control on screen, one thing in his life was spinning out of it: his sense of safety at home. For all the glitz, the cars, and the ratings, there was one thing Simon Cowell couldn't outrun: the cost of being famous. For years, he lived in a jaw-dropping mansion in London's elite Holland Park, worth an estimated £45 million. But the luxury came with a dark side. In 2015, while Simon, his partner Lauren Silverman, and their young son Eric slept upstairs, a burglar broke in. Jewelry, passports, personal items, all stolen. It wasn't the first time either. Back in 2012, a woman managed to break into his bathroom with a brick in her hand. The message was clear: fame had made him a target. Simon spent over £500,000 on high-end security, alarms, guards, reinforced systems. But then came a chilling twist. Reports surfaced that a criminal gang had duplicated his front door key. That was it. He gave up the mansion, gave up the city. He moved his family out of London to a quieter, more secure life in the countryside. But don't feel too sorry for him. He still owns a jaw-dropping oceanfront home in Malibu and vacations in luxury villas in Barbados. Still, this wasn't about real estate. It was about protection. Behind the sharp suits and savage TV critiques is a father who fears for his son's safety. The tough guy image may play well on camera, but in private, Simon Cowell was scared. And that's what makes his next move so unexpected. Because despite doing everything to protect his son in life, he might leave him with nothing after it. With a $600 million empire under his name, you'd expect Simon Cowell's son to be set for life. But Simon has made one thing crystal clear: Eric won't be getting a single penny. That's not speculation. That's Simon's own words. He's publicly stated that he doesn't believe in passing wealth from one generation to another. Instead, he wants his fortune to go to charities, specifically those supporting children and animals. In an interview with Esquire, he put it bluntly: "I'm going to leave my money to someone, a charity, probably kids and dogs. I don't believe in passing on from one generation to another." It's a shocking stance, especially for a man who says becoming a father changed his life. When Eric was born in 2014, Simon called it the moment everything shifted. He said he became obsessed the moment he saw the scan, that he started thinking about Eric in every decision he made. So how do you reconcile that kind of love with the decision to leave him nothing? Some believe it's a matter of principle. Simon values hard work. He built his fortune from near bankruptcy. Maybe he wants his son to earn his way too. Others see a deeper emotional struggle, one between a cold belief in merit and the undeniable bond between a father and son. And then there's the bigger question: has he really stuck to that decision? Or is there more to this story than he's letting on? Because what happened next might have changed everything. In 2017, Simon Cowell collapsed at his London home. One moment, he was walking downstairs. The next, he was on the floor, unconscious. Doctors blamed low blood pressure, but for Simon, it was a wake-up call. He called it a huge shock and admitted it made him realize he wasn't invincible, that he needed to start taking better care of himself for Eric's sake. But the real shock came 3 years later. In 20, at his Malibu home, Simon tested a new electric motorbike. What was supposed to be a fun ride turned into a nightmare. The bike bucked, threw him off, and he crashed hard, breaking his back in multiple places. He needed 6 hours of surgery, metal rods, months of recovery. For a time, he couldn't even walk. The pain was excruciating. The recovery was isolating. And just as he was getting back on his feet, it happened again. In 2022, he had a second serious e-bike accident. Another fall, another scare, Another reminder that life, no matter how wealthy you are, can change in seconds. For a man who built his legacy on control, these moments stripped it all away. They forced him to slow down, reflect, and face a truth he couldn't ignore. Time is not guaranteed. So what happens when a man obsessed with building a legacy suddenly starts to question whether he'll even be around to see it? Some say the accidents made him more attached to his son. Others say they only strengthened his resolve to leave it all behind for charity. But either way, one thing is certain. Those moments didn't just break his body. They may have cracked open the walls around his beliefs. Simon Cowell built a media empire on blunt honesty, drama, and emotional highs. But the very tactics that made him famous also made him one of the most controversial figures in entertainment. From the start, his public persona was deliberately sharp. His trademark line, "I don't mean to be rude," but was usually followed by soul-crushing criticism. He called contestants grotesque, mocked appearances, and once told a hopeful singer they sounded like a bush baby on helium. To audiences, it was entertaining, but to critics, it was brutal. Some even called it bullying in prime time. Behind the scenes, things were messier. American Idol and The X Factor were accused of emotional manipulation. Contestants claimed producers pushed sob stories, staged reactions, and edited footage to create drama. One X Factor UK contestant said he was pressured to come out on national television before he was ready. Another claimed producers encouraged discomfort to provoke tearful breakdowns. It wasn't just the contestants who raised concerns. The shows were also accused of excessive product placement, scripting moments, and creating villains to boost ratings. And at the center of it all, Simon Cowell. But the drama didn't stop with the shows. Simon's personal life made headlines of its own. In 2013, the world found out that Simon was having a child with his friend's wife. Lauren Silverman, then married to real estate mogul Andrew Silverman, was pregnant with Simon's baby. The fallout was massive. A public divorce, legal documents, settlements, and an unexpected spotlight on the private life of a man who usually controlled the narrative. Yet through it all, Simon stayed on top. His shows kept airing, his empire kept growing, and his image, flawed, sharp, unfiltered, remained iconic. Still, these controversies left a stain. They raised a question that no amount of money could fully silence. Can a man who built his legacy on criticism, manipulation, and scandal really be remembered as a hero? Or will his wealth be his final redemption? Simon Cowell has done what most people only dream of. He clawed his way back from near bankruptcy, turned harsh judgment into entertainment gold, and built a $600 million empire that spans continents, screens, and soundtracks. He's lived in castles, crashed million-dollar cars, and signed global superstars. He's changed the face of TV, rewritten the rules of fame, and shocked the world with the decision to possibly leave none of it to his only child. A man who once said, "Everything I do now, I do for Eric," has also declared that Eric won't inherit a dime. Instead, his fortune will go to strangers, to causes he believes in, to kids, to animals, to the world. But beneath that bold philosophy lies a deeper question. Is Simon Cowell leaving behind a financial legacy or an emotional void? Because after all the money, the power, the scandals, and the health scares, what matters most? Was it principle that led him to this choice or pain? Was it about teaching a lesson or protecting his son from the burden of wealth? And has fatherhood softened his stance, or will he follow through until the end? No one but Simon knows the answer. But when that will is finally read and the numbers are revealed, one thing's for sure, it won't just be a headline. It'll be a moment that defines his legacy and tests what really matters most in the life of a man who had everything, but chose a very different ending.